I think it started about yesterday night into this morning, where the FCCPC, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, is giving 1 month notice to traders and other market people, to crash their prices, reduce the price. How are you going to tell the market woman at Oyingbo or Mile 2 that at Taten Leyi you need to bring it down? How's that going to work exactly? I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to put it together. I understand what they're trying to achieve, but I don't get what they're trying to do with that. Is it going to be effective? What impact are they looking out to get from that one?
Well, Sandra, I think we're on another wild goose chase. I also think that we are also just merely trying to scratch the surface and not dealing with the real issues. Yes, we have a problem with high food prices, high prices of products and services. Of course, that goes back into the conversation around the inflation and what has led us to having this level of high prices of commodities and goods. But again, we need to tell ourselves the truth. Yes, there's this conversation around price gouging, and all of that. But we need to ask ourselves, Sandra, were we not in this same studio that we talked about custom duty rising like how many times in a month?
In a day, sir, you can have it. In a day, you can have it almost 3 times in a day.
So if by your own policy you have created that level of instability, what do you expect? People are going to go into price gouging, merely taking advantage of the instability you have caused by your own policies. I don't think we are still going to deal with extensively, Sandra. Because look, we are in the same country when subsidy was removed the way it was removed. And look at the spiral effect, Sandra. We've always talked about it. Did we plan for what will be the effect of removing subsidy the way it was removed? Even if it was methodically removed, there was a need for better planning to deal with the consequences of what was going to come out of it. So you went into a policy that took the price of petrol, Sandra, from around 185, 200 to now around 950 in some locations in Nigeria, and you are now hiding behind your finger, living in illusion as to the reality of what was going to come out of that kind of policy. Are we just deceiving ourselves, or we are serious as a people? Foreign exchange, Sandra, what was it a year ago? What do we have now? As we speak, yesterday it closed at around 1,650 naira.
Hello. All right. Well, seem to have some, network issues there. We'll try to reconnect.
Okay. Are you back with me?
Yes, we are now.
Look at the dollar, Sandra. Foreign exchange. From a so-called unification policy of the government
to multi-window.
It has moved
about 5 different windows.
We have about 5 different windows, although they will tell you the margin is not as much. Only for us to realize that there's even another window that is used to import PMS into the country that is about half the real price at the parallel market. It moved from 750 to around 1,650 closing yesterday, Sandra, and you are expecting that was not going to have serious consequences on the price of products and services, and food particularly. Sandra, the same thing has happened to logistics. The price of moving goods around from one place to another. What has been the percentage in the increment that has happened for what it takes to move goods from one location to another location? Added to that, Sandra, is the issue of insecurity that has reduced the supply of these products into the market. We have serious issues to this. This is just mere grandstanding. And I've told you that there's a tendency in this government that I've noticed just to make a statement for merely wanting to make the statement. Let us even ask. I'm not saying there are not issues. Of course, it is in the nature of people to want to take advantage of a very bad situation. Don't we have it even in the most structured settings in the business world? Even in the banking world, don't you have situations where a lot is happening really where people take advantage of inconsistencies in policies, field policy, and policies that are not well thought out. But let us even assume that the FCCPC, as they have called themselves now, through Mr. Tʀᴇɪᴅs, are giving 1 month. Okay, how do you want to implement the policy now, Sandra? They'll be going to shops, right? I mean, what is the structure they want to create to effect this 1 month ultimatum? And then how does that ultimatum also go into the principles and practice of a free market economy, where you have what is called a willing buyer and a willing seller standard? Don't I also have the right to fix a price the way I want to fix it, and if you are not happy with it, you go to the next place.
You move on.
You go and buy. You move on. You go into my shop. I say I'm selling this thing for 10,000. You are not happy with it. Go where they are selling it 5,000. Or maybe the government creates its own market to sell at 5,000 to the people. It's a wild goose chase. It's a complete waste. The same thing happens when there's fuel scarcity. And then you have 1 or 2 people taking advantage of it, and then the next thing government comes out to say, oh, they want to be moving around to see people and trying to take advantage of people. But we are wasting time. The real issues are there for us to deal with. We continue to waste time. We continue to deceive ourselves. Speak a lot of grammar. Whereas the real issues are there. The real issues. Sandra, have you ever seen a situation where there is surplus in supply, and then there are people who are ordering the product?
Well, I mean, they have, they're trying to justify what they are doing. That's the FCCPC now. In trying to justify what they said, they have done some survey, they've done some findings, that they have observed price fixing. Say, for example, how justifiable is it for a tomato seller to double the price of a basket of tomatoes simply because they paid a higher transport fare? Okay, but then the same basket of tomatoes is cheaper in another market within the same jurisdiction. So how does it work? Is it that the one who is selling lower price, did the person not also pay transport fare? So how do they fix price?
As a buyer, what then do you do? What are you supposed to do?
You go
if it is more expensive,
lower price space.
Is that not what a free market economy is about?
But they're trying to look at it from the point of why is the higher price guy trying to exploit the customer?
And then what is the commercial customer supposed to do? Stay there and not move to the next place? I understand that there are exploitative tendencies that you have, of course, agencies like this are supposed to ensure that people are not exploited. But what we are saying is that look, Sandra, there was a time we had relative stability in the price of goods and services in this country. In the last 1 year, we need to tell ourselves, how did we get to the point where prices are now suddenly skyrocketing, going through the roof? The indices are there. The real indices of why we have this madness in terms of pricing is there for the government to look into and dig into and look for lasting solutions. Sandra, okay, now there's an announcement now that the government wants to give subsidy, 50% subsidy on electricity for public hospitals. What happens to the private hospitals? And I can tell you, I'm not sure the public hospitals, despite their size, strength, and capacity, are able to take care of 40% of the medical needs of Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians still have to go to private hospitals for their medical care. If you understand what I'm saying, how many teaching hospitals do we really have? How many public hospitals do we really have? Now the government now realizes that there's a problem with the electricity tariff since the hospitals are not shouting. It wants to give 50% off on the electricity. But what about the private hospitals who take care of about 60 to 70% of the medical needs of Nigeria? They also need subsidy. Don't you think they need subsidy? Because you have private hospital owners also shouting that look, the electricity bill has gone through the roof, and they can't give affordable Medicare. Look, in a lot of private hospitals, especially not in the really urban centers, in the local areas, I see them as just doing community service. You see people taking their child into these places to treat different kinds of ailments, and sometimes you see bills 5,000, 7,000, 8,000. Sandra, I've seen hospitals where children have gone to treat malaria and other forms of things, and the bill is just 15,000 naira. They will even be begging the doctor, any report they ever reduce 15,000 naira, but they can't pay. So, look, what we are saying is that, look, this government needs to tell, look, you remove subsidy, Sandra, now. I was discussing with Mr. Kovua And we have said that, look, all of the money that we are thought that we're going to see from the own subsidy, now that we are now introducing all manner of subsidy now to mitigate the effect of removal of subsidy from PMS that we thought we were going to use to save a lot of money, are we sure that we are actually even saving anything now, Sandra? Because now we want to do subsidy on rice, we are doing subsidy on food, we have started subsidy now for hospital. I can tell you that tertiary institutions will also tell you they need subsidy. Everybody now needs subsidy. Have we not got to the point where it would have been better for us to fix the problem around subsidy on PMS than what we have now done? What was the problem? The corruption around subsidy regime at that time. All we needed to do was to look into the issues of people manipulating the subsidy regime and fix the problem. We said that was not possible. Oh, subsidy has to go. Now subsidy has gone. We are now beginning to this issue of public hospitals now 50% subsidy for them. It's going to go into another form of racketeering. Corruption will go into it. People are going to begin to manipulate goods. The reality is that, look, we had a problem to solve. We didn't go into the problem with good mind, good conscience to understand how to fix the problem. We jumped into it. Now there's this chaos. You now have people chasing shadows, scratching the surface, getting us unnecessarily distracted about what they don't even have the capacity to fix. What you are going to get with this announcement of 1 month is that, number one, tell me, quote me, that I said it's a complete joke. Number two, they don't have the capacity to even enforce this directive. Number three, it will even lead to further scarcity. Because what you now have is that you are going to create more black market thinking out of pricing of goods and services in the country. These guys should get serious, understand how things are fixed, go into the root of the problem, and come up with a workable solution.
Well,
insecurity is still there.
According to
logistics are there.
According to the FCCPC, in view of the current situation in Nigeria, price gouging and price fixing are not only unethical but patently illegal under the FCCPA. And as such, the FCCPC has the will and the capacity to invoke the full weight of the law against those found culpable of exploiting consumers. It's actually a very, very long read. It's a well-detailed report, and it's the major headline on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, where it states there that where it states there, sorry, my phone is hanging. Okay, so that here, I've totally lost it. All right, but where it states that as regards what the FCCPC seeks to do, exploitative pricing, traders get 1 month notice to crash prices. That's the major headline on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. And the statement is coming from, or the order is coming from Mr. Tunji Bello, the executive vice chairman of the FCCPC, at a one-day stakeholders engagement, speaking on exploitative pricing.
Does this affect the price of rice, for example?
It's foodstuff.
And then when you say crash the price of things, what prices are they going to give them the prices to sell those products? When you say crash, you have to give a band. You understand? So, for example, if you think that people selling a bag of rice now at 80,000 or 85,000 are exploiting the people, how much should they sell? And what are the indices for you to determine what would have been a fair pricing standard? It's difficult for us to Tunji Bello to come and tell us what the indices will be for him to determine fair pricing of goods and services and products if they have identified as a price gouging. What will the indices?
No, I'm also concerned about what will happen to the guys who are selling at at affordable rates. Hope it will not cause some sort of I don't know, where the guys who are selling at a higher rate will come for the guys selling at affordable rates. Say, oh, you guys are the ones that are making them beam a searchlight on us. But anyway,
when you say affordable, what's your definition of affordable at higher price?
Well, that's what I'm saying. According to the FCC.
Wait, now, Sandra, are you also aware that there's also the part of location as an indices for pricing of goods and services? Are you also aware that what I will buy in Victoria Island, the price of what I will buy in Victoria Island may be different from what I buy in Songo, the same product.
Of course.
Well, are you also aware?
Of course, that definitely comes to play when it comes to pricing. And aside from that, you also have, there are some markets that they are known for wholesale, goods, and then there are some markets that they don't have they sell in retail as well. These are the things that you put into consideration when you are doing this. But then you have, in a reaction, human rights activist Barrister Charity Onwuka said, "This is very appalling, really, another mess up by the APC-led administration. The federal government has no right whatsoever to force traders to cash prices because the traders bought the commodities or items at a very high rate." And according to her, she's saying that this will lead to artificial scarcity because traders would rather hoard their goods than sell at a very low rate to their detriment. I mean, I bought something at 15 naira. You're forcing me to sell it at 13 naira. I would rather not sell it.
Who are you to even forcing to that? What are the indices? Have you checked my book? What are the factors you have put on the table? And then how do you determine fair pricing when you don't have the indices, you don't have the mechanism? You are not even a player. You are just a regulator. And it's not, regulation is not just about making statements. It's about digging into why you have that problem. To begin now to address the real issue, not just to want to get people excited by making this statement. I've talked about excitable statements being disguised as policy statements in this country. It's a pattern. Just to make the headline, who has also said something. And at the end of the day, there's no capacity, there's no research into what you are saying. And then when it comes to implementation, you falter completely.
Well, she went further to say that the government should rather have a more practical and pragmatic approach to resolve the inflation in the economy. As a citizen of Nigeria, I'm quoting her now, I suggest, as is being widely advocated, the cost of governance should be crashed to the barest minimum. An experienced economic expert should be consulted to advise on the way forward, rather than compensating political faithful and family members by giving them key positions wherein they make positive impacts for the good of everyone in the country. That's from Barrister Charity Onwuka in reaction to the FCCPC's plan or efforts to provide temporary relief, because it's
cash price.
I don't know how that's going to work. I'm also, we have Clifford Egbomede, public analyst and communications expert, who said that the FCCPC's initiative to force traders to lower prices amid inflation and economic hardship, while well-intentioned, could have unintended consequences. Now, direct price controls often disrupt the natural balance of supply and demand, leading to potential shortages, as traders might find it unprofitable to sell at the mandated prices. So this kind of intervention risks distorting the market and may not address the root causes of inflation. So for small and medium-sized enterprises, that's SMEs, which typically operate with slim profit margins, 20 naira, 50 naira, all those small gains that they are making, such controls could be particularly damaging. Many SMEs might struggle to sustain their businesses under enforced price reductions, leading to closures, job losses, of course, which will have its own broader negative impact on the economy.
Sandra,
yes.
Sandra, do you know what this statement intends to achieve? And this is just my own honest opinion. Is to gaslight the traders into being seen as a problem. Actually, they are not the problem.
I was getting okay.
It's just to gaslight the people. That have you also gotten some statements? This hypocritical, ridiculous statement. Oh, Nigerians who are bad. Whereas the problem started with the government that created the room for that to happen. You fix the problem and see whether people will not adjust. All of those hypocritical, nonsensical statements that Nigerians you are doing ourselves, it's a lie. The government created the problem. So, have the government been able to crash inflation figures? Have they been able to crash the dollar to the naira? How did we move, Sandra? What are we talking about here? How did we move from 750 in 1 year to almost about 1,007 dollar to the naira? And we are not even talking about that. So the next thing to do to gaslight the people into admitting the failure of government is that they are doing price gouging. What are the indices that are shown that they are doing price gouging? Oh, you might have 1 or 2 situations. Yes, I agree. But that is not enough to conclude that the reason why we have this high prices of food, services and goods is because of price gouging. Just to gaslight the people into admitting the failure of government.
Thank you, Fuad. Well, still on that particular conversation, the first deputy president of TUC, Dr. Tʀᴇɪᴅs, said until the issue of insecurity and high cost of transportation is addressed, any talk of reduction of price within a month or more would be a mirage.
It's not just a month. Even look at the timeline, Sandra.
Farmers pay to access their farms. The government in 35 years have not been able to fix a refinery. It's giving people 1 month to fix problem of prices. Farmers pay to access their farms. They also pay for transportation. They also pay for extortion. There's extortion by security agencies along the roads. Touts along the highways. All of these things are the things that are factored into the prices of goods. So until all the variables are addressed by the government, there's no way prices of goods will come down. That's the major headline on the front page of Vanguard News. It's a very, very detailed report. You may want to actually get deeper into it, because the FCCPC has given market traders 1 month to bring down their prices by force, by fire.
Yes. You don't like the word crash?
No.
Crash prices.
I don't want to use the word crash.
The woman that is selling rice now should sell it at 40,000. Why are you selling at 85,000? Crash it to 40 because the government has instructed you to
do so. It's all right. Well, that's the story that we have here. We've got more details in the Vanguard newspaper. This is 4 minutes past 8. You're listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. Now, let's look at other stories. We'll go back to the Punch newspaper now. The major headline on the front page of the Punch: 200 families displaced as NAF, that's Nigeria Air Force, demolishes houses. And we have a rider here that says soldiers deployed in sight. Property owners demand compensation as the federal government keeps mum. And that's as regards the presidential fleet. So let's see what the report has for us this morning. That's the major headline on the front page. Excuse me. That's the major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper. So in getting deeper into the report, what we have is that landowners of Nualeg in Abuja, ejected by the federal government, have called on the government for compensation. More than 200 families who reside in that community along the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja have been reportedly rendered homeless following the demolition of their homes to accommodate an extension of the presidential air fleet. And the demolition was carried out by the Federal Capital Development Authority at the request of the Nigerian Air Force. So this means that the displaced residents have been forced now to seek shelter in nearby communities, Zamani, Sauka, Giri, Ido, Gwagwalada and others. Fuad, people have their homes demolished so that we can make space for our presidential fleet. I don't have anything to say.
Oh my God. I'm mixed. I'm shocked. I'm not surprised. And I think what these landowners are basically just saying is that, look, can you please just compensate us? We are helpless. There's nothing we can do. Yes. You've demolished our homes to create this space. But at least let us get some form of compensation. You can't just throw us, to the open space without any compensation. So that's what they are demanding for. And we know that will be done, really. Again, demolishing people's homes to acquire land, create more space for our presidential air fleet. Standard. It's just what it is, really. It goes to show again where the minds of our leaders are. The luxury they want, how well they want their own things to be well structured and taken care of. Whereas you leave the poor people to live in abject poverty and penury. And even the simple things as compensation, you are not really ready to do. I think on this one, they just have to do what they need to do for these people. These are poor people whose homes have been demolished. They need that compensation when it's under.
Lost for words, but all will be well.
Why are you shocked, Nazanga? What things have happened?
What? Like, people don't have a house because an airplane needs a house. You don't understand. People don't have a house because an airplane needs a house.
The plane belongs to who, Sandra? It belongs to the president, the commander-in-chief. That's the difference. Who are those people whose homes have been demolished? Ordinary Nigerians.
The president is in service to the people, isn't it?
That's what you think. We need to ask ourselves if that principle has not changed.
Well, the affected families have said they've not received compensation from the FCT minister, Iṛsoᴜnɪᴏ, the Nigeria Air Force, the Ministry of Aviation, the FCTA, that's the Federal Capital Territory Administration, led by Iṛsoᴜnɪᴏ. So they're waiting and hoping.
Don't be surprised, Sandra, that the conversation will now be that whether they are even illegal settlers on that land. The other one would be, do they have documents? Come and present your valid document. But the report is saying that this land is not like their ancestral land. They've been there even before anything came around that area. But I'm sure you go and see the conversation as, the land was acquired by government. These guys don't have any documents.
These are confirmed indigenous of what? These are
indigenous, yes.
Abuja indigenous.
I know, sir. I'm just telling you. The
story that can still come up. It's all right. Well, the story is on page 2. This is very, very confounding story. It's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. I'll just leave it at that. We also have here on the front page of the Punch, Ajaero honors police summons and false terrorism allegation. So thankfully that has been put to bed. That's on page 26 of the Punch newspaper.
That story. What do we blame for the drama now? You saw that for like almost 2 weeks. That was what dominated the media space. Look at the allegation, terrorism finance. Only for the man to appear before the police, and the only thing they asked him was about a tenant who had occupied a floor in the NLC building. And you don't understand what I'm saying? Yeah, you wrote a letter inviting the NLC president and delegations of that look is wanted for questioning on terrorism financing allegation related blah blah blah. Only for the man not to send up to 30 minutes, and the whole thing was that look, there was a particular person of interest who had a business on a particular floor on the NLC building. Sometimes a police officer could have visited Ajaero in the office and asked all of these questions. Was that the reason also why the NLC headquarters was stormed, was raided?
Was ransacked?
So what's all of that drama for? Some of you don't understand. I've seen, look, the person of Ajaero, any of the police officers in charge of the case could have put a call through to him. NLC president, sir, I'll have to have a 5-10 minute discussion with you. We have a person of interest. When would you be around? And so what's the need for all of the drama? Storm the police NLC officials?
Like he was the one personally that they have. You know, we have always talked about this for how in Nigeria we arrest first, then investigate later.
Investigate and then
no evidence.
Then the letter of invitation. Why don't you just go details? We have a person of interest of file of building, and you think you have useful information for us, blah blah blah. We need you to come out. But you tell all of the real reasons why you wanted the man, and then put the investigation unrelated to terrorism finance. It was going to cause all of the drama. Needless.
Right. Well,
was it deliberate? Was it just deliberate to get people to talk or to just? And the man went there 30 minutes.
He came out. Look at that. And the story is on page 26 of the Punch newspaper. That's regards Ajaero. He's out now, and we have moved on. Hopefully, we'll move on from that.
No terrorism financing again.
It's okay. It's alright. Me too. I wanted to bring you one story like that, but it's unfortunate that story is still.
You know what the same thing that was done with the Emefiele. There was a time they arranged that.
Where it was.
And nobody talking about that case again, no.
It's only.
That
we are talking about now.
It's just that it's so money now. But terrorism financing is not on the table again for anything.
It has gone.
Yeah.
That's just
okay.
That's how it's working. Yeah. All right. No work, no pay threat won't stop strike, says resident doctors. They're going to push ahead with their plan to strike. That's what they're saying, and that story is on page 12 of the Punch newspaper, going all out to ensure that their colleague, Dr. Ganiat Popola, comes out of 8 months. She has been in, captivity for 8 months.
Very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate story. Well, the tiger. Sorry, what's his name? The IG.
The IG of police, yes.
The IG of police.
Tiger, why not?
Yes. So he has promised that all the thousands of people that have been abducted in Nigeria, across Nigeria, will be rescued very soon. So we are really hopeful. We wish him all the best. Let
him start with your Dr. Daniel Popola.
I mean, we need to commend them for the 20 medical students. So if they were able to achieve that, job. We're hoping that that same will be extended as well to Dr. Ghana.
And other Nigerians in captivity. Yes, and stop the kidnapping.
And stop it, exactly. Thank you very much. Alright, that story is on page 12. Moving on now. I don't know what's going on here, but I just want to just put this on a lighter note. Buttock enlargement doctor declared wanted as client dies during surgery. And that's on pages 4 and 5. People are doing buttocks enlargement in Nigeria. What is going on?
You know how they call BLB or BLLB?
BBL. What? BBL.
It's okay, BBL.
Is it BLB?
I don't know there's one B and one L and one B.
No, this is not BBL.
The arrangement is the problem.
This is
BBL, not BLLB.
Because BBL is Brazilian butt lift. Alright?
Why is it Brazil there? Why must you go and look for a Brazilian buttock when you have an African buttock that works for you? What are you looking for in Brazil?
Well, it's just really unfortunate now. So there's this young.
Why the Brazil now? Right? Before we go to the story, what informed the idea of a Brazilian buttock?
I honestly do not.
I know of the Brazilian hair.
Maybe that's where they used to go before to go and get it done. Maybe that's where they do it.
There's something about Brazilian.
No, in Brazil, the whole thing. Yes, that the hospitals in Brazil, they're very good at that thing. I think that's where it started from. That's okay.
So this enlargement, what happens? You pump water into it or what?
A 36-year-old lady simply identified has passed away, unfortunately, during a Botox enlargement procedure in Lekki. And the doctor, identified as Idara Basi, has been identified, and the Lagos State Police Command, they're looking for this person now. The deceased visited the hospital, the clinic, for a Botox enlargement, which took a fatal turn after a nurse, name withheld, allegedly acting on the doctor's orders, administered an injection. Now, commonly known as Brazilian butt lift, the procedure is a form of cosmetic surgery that involves extracting fat from other areas of the body and injecting it into the buttocks to create a fuller, rounder. I'm done with this story. I'm sorry. The story is on pages 4 and 5.
Wait now. Just wait now. Where are you running to? Because it's now women issues I don't want to talk about.
I'm sorry.
Spiritually, whether you're Muslim or Christian, I'm sure the traditionalists also have the doctrine that when you die, you are going to have to meet your creator, give account. And one of the things you have to say is that what killed you, what exactly killed you, how did you die? So this lady now, if he now has to appear before our creator, if truly this is what will happen after life, what is this lady going to tell the creator now, our creator? You know, I refuse to use the word God, because people now begin to have, you might have atheists who even believe. But if there's indeed a supernatural being who created all of us, that this lady would have to appear to give account. On this death now, what would she say? That she killed her. After now, Sandra.
She was, I don't know, something wrong happened. She went to the hospital, something went wrong by somebody, and
she was doing what?
Something went wrong. She went to the clinic. It's okay. She went to the clinic. She has lost her life. It's a painful one for her. She has lost her. It's really, really painful. And due to the negligence of some nurse who was probably an
and did not have to pay for it. Yes.
Anyways, the doctor is at large and they're trying to, squeeze the person out. Idara Basi, that's the name of the doctor. That's what, on
a more serious note, Sandra, all manner of surgeries are going on. We'll be hearing of people touching different parts of their bodies. Why I think they have a right to do whatever they want to do with their body. I think they need to check where they're doing some of these things. We have a lot of quacks. And because they know there's a lot of money to make from surgeries like this, assume that people who are not really trained to handle things like this have not started to do it. because there seems to be that interest now. It's widespread. It's getting to the point where even men now are not even sure whether what they are saying is real or fake. I'm telling you, Sandra. Anytime they see things, and men begin to ask, is this real or fake? That's the conversation now. I'm very unfortunate. You don't know.
Well, on to other stories. This is to Milan 98.3 FM. Above the masthead of the Punch newspaper, Governor's Jobs Bazaar, Governor's Jobs Bazaar, state wages rise by 900 billion naira. That's on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. As Fuad also mentioned earlier on, the president has okayed a 50% electricity subsidy for hospitals and others, and that's on page 19. That's on page 19 of the Punch newspaper as well. And just as Fuad also asked, earlier on, aside from hospitals, I mean, we treated this story, I think, a month ago from the Guardian newspaper, where schools are now struggling. Tertiary institutions, universities, that is, are now struggling, with as high as 200. Some of them have had as high as 280 million, 100 million to pay.
I think it was Babcock that said in just 1 month they paid 300 million on electricity bill. That's 1 month. They also need subsidy. Everybody needs subsidy. Even the media needs subsidy, Sandra.
We need subsidy. We definitely need subsidy.
Everyone needs subsidy.
Everyone needs subsidy. But
some African people are calling for subsidy too.
Public, the approval has come for public hospitals and educational institutions to alleviate their financial burden. All right, and the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Tūnjí Aláùsá, disclosed this shortly after inaugurating projects at the National Ear Care Center. So the subsidy is part of President's effort to support the health and education sectors and will soon be implemented by the Minister of Power. And the minister said the move demonstrates the president's commitment to improving the lives of people. But the subsidy is expected to significantly reduce energy tariffs for public hospitals, universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, and enable them to channel more resources into providing quality services. And that is on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. All right, and we also have here NYSC bars poly graduates without IT experience. I think the whole essence of Polytechnic was that IT experience, that 1 year where you have to
practical.
That's the whole essence of it. So what do you think of this?
That's why you have 1 year. I don't know. People don't like to cut corners. The Polytechnic structure is that, look, 2 years ordinary national diploma. Before you go for your HND, you're supposed to have, in fact, within that 2 years, you are supposed to have CWES for like 3 months. And then after your 2 years of OND, before HND, you have 1 year of internship, IT, which is called IT, and you're supposed to have that practical training for 1 year before you can now start your HND. But we see situations where, I don't know how schools admit them, you graduate, they don't do that training for 1 year, and they go straight for their HND. So that's what the NYSC is saying, that look, the structure of the Polytechnic says that, look, after your 2 years OND, you must have done that 1 year practical internship training before you come for your HND. Again, there are a lot of things we need to talk about when it comes to the educational sector. The Polytechnic itself, which is supposed to be a place for technical education, I've also questioned some of the courses that are offered in Polytechnics. But the NYSC thinks that, look, you must respect the rules. You must go for your internship for 1 year before you can go in for HND and then for NY.
All right, well, the NYSC has said Polytechnic graduates with holders of higher national diploma without evidence of undertaking the mandatory 12-month industrial training will not be registered at the NYSC orientation camp to participate in the National Youth Service, explaining that a certificate of industrial training is one of the requirements for Polytechnic graduates to participate in the 1-year National Youth Service. And this is a new policy that was recently introduced, requiring graduates of polytechnics and monotechnics to present an IT certification as part of requirements, particularly for participation in the camp activities. The story is on page 12 of the Punch newspaper, and that's all we're taking off the front page of the Punch. We're moving on now swiftly to the Guardian newspaper. This is Mainland 98.3 FM, and we are currently looking through the major stories trending on the front pages of our papers. I have Fuad Sahid with me via the phone line, and my name is Omobola Sandra. Moving on to the Guardian. Living in Abuja, the making of a capital city of gross inequality, rags and riches. And that's on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And what that report is telling us is, as it is now, Nigeria sits atop the global homeless rankings with 25 million of our citizens lacking proper housing. Economic stability, insecurity, rapid urbanization, and lack of affordable housing in urban centers are some of the reasons Abuja is feeling the pang of homelessness, with thousands dwelling in the city's over 6,000 uncompleted buildings. As the standard of living plummets, the report is that affordable housing is becoming a luxury in the FCT, and the failure to strictly implement the Abuja master plan is throwing up fresh town planning challenges. And this is just as we just discussed that even several more have been rendered homeless because the presidential fleet needs housing. It's all right. I'll still go back to it. I'm not letting it go.
Well, we really don't have what I can call a proper housing policy, especially when it comes to affordable housing. I think in the minds of our policy makers, affordable housing is unattainable. And when we talk about affordable housing, we're talking about housing for the poor. Because the word affordable is related, what is affordable to you might not be affordable for the other person. So, if you want to talk about affordable housing, we need to define it clearly. We're talking of housing for what? For the poor, majorly for middle and low income earners. There's no policy with Sandra. I think the last time that we had a meaningful policy to address the issue of housing shortage for low income earners had to be the Second Republic. And it was not across Nigeria, really. It was majorly, look at what Tabalaji Jakonde was able to achieve, Willie Sandra, with his housing policy. And afterwards, what we've had is a situation where government talks about housing policy only for them to build for people who don't even need the housing. There's hardly anything done, really, when it comes to housing for the poor. No policy, I'm telling you. Forget about all this sloganeering. There was a time Lagos State government tried the idea of rent to own. At the end of the day, there was really nothing that came out of it. And until government realizes that affordable housing for low income earners has to be a form of social service, we're not going to get it done. Because a lot of times you see government going into housing projects to make profit. You can't do social housing with the intention to make profit from it. You have to see it as a way of solving people's problems. But again, I think that's the list of anything that the government is thinking about now. So it is what it is. The story has highlighted the problem. But I think for now, nobody's even talking about fixing the problem. So let's just move on.
A lot of people are finding shelter in their vehicles. Yes, homelessness may be a global challenge, but at the heart of the brewing homelessness crisis in Abuja is the lack of affordable housing, which has forced thousands to take up residence. Apparently, there are thousands of uncompleted buildings in Abuja, and that's where a lot of people have had to take up residence. And speaking as regards these thousands of uncompleted buildings or abandoned buildings in Abuja, exactly. We talked about some. I think it was sometime last year where there was revelation that one general. It was one general had some buildings just there in Abuja. It's still so many of these people. They just have these properties. And they just
Sandra, most of these abandoned projects are not affordable maybe for the rich. Because again, I've talked about affordability. Maybe the affordable here is about being affordable for the rich. Because again, there are quite a lot of abandoned projects. In fact, some of them completed empty because people cannot afford them. I'm talking about the rich now. So you have that situation in Abuja, really. And the problem with Abuja again is that the outskirt locations where people are supposed to seek alternative housing, products have also become very expensive. And then also comes the issue of insecurity. Most of the kidnappings we recorded in recent times have happened in all those, new settlements around, not in Abuja, but in those outskirt locations. There are people, Sandra, who work in Abuja, who who stay in Nasarawa, who stay in Niger, they have to travel that far. And one of the things they have to battle and deal with also the issue of insecurity. So you see, I'm saying it, and I'll say it, and anybody can challenge me to me that as of today, this morning that I'm talking, there's no clear housing policy to deal with affordable housing for low-income earners in Nigeria. Nothing on the table. If there's anything, let them bring it forward. The National Housing Fund scheme is not even solving any problem. The NHF scheme that is supposed to address housing for workers. Tell the Nigerian workers, anybody that is a civil servant who contributes to the NHF, that is within the middle and low income bracket, let them come to the leader and tell us that, look, with the NHF, I was able to buy a property or own a house.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Saidfa. The story is on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper. The fact that, it's supposed to be the capital city. It's all right. It is the capital city. Anyways, and just, highlighting what it costs to live in Abuja.
In Abuja, you're very big. In Abuja, you're a big person.
Even if it's not completed building. Are you serious? Even the people living in the completed building too are big people.
Sandra, we don't ask ourselves questions. We go with the news, get ourselves on messages like that. How did we get to the point, Sandra? Yes, housing problem is a general thing, it's a global problem. But you also have to look at the scale. You have to look at the percentage, really. When you talk about housing crisis, you have to look at the data, the figures. Again, it goes. How did we get to the point where people are comfortable to now have apartments under the bridge and they are ready to pay? As far as I even saying, I think the report said some people were paying 250,000 naira in a year
350
to stay under the bridge. 350 to live under the bridge.
Look at that. It's all right. Well,
and we don't have a functional mortgage system, Sandra. You have to pay from, mortgages. If you had a well-structured mortgage with good payment plan, interest rate, that would have also helped. But I'm telling you that the mortgage system we have in the country cannot even solve the housing problem. When we talk about low-income housing, in fact, the mortgage structure is not even structured for low-income housing. Don't even go there.
All right, moving away from that particular story, we also have other stories here that we have touched one way or the other from the other papers. But Afe Babalola cautions against 18 years limit for WAEC and NECO. The controversy still continues on that particular one. The story is on page 28 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have here KDC, that's Eko Electricity Distribution Company, explaining disconnection of Unilag after 180 million naira payment. That's on page 7. So
disconnected Unilag, they are in darkness now.
They are in darkness. That's
Unilag, the whole Unilag,
almighty Unilag, University of Lagos. The clarifying that the payment that Unilag made for July is just a small fraction of the outstanding debt that is owed but they have paid 180 million. That is it. Look at that. So this is what we're talking about.
It is a small fraction. You know the bill.
What's the how much is the entire bill? It's not there.
That's the issue. It's to tell you that you see that I'm saying that, look, you're talking about public hospital, you have to still talk about public universities.
So
but why we also talk about that?
Over 1 billion naira in electricity.
Yeah,
1 billion, over 1 billion. That's how much they are owing. And he said that's why they have to still disconnect them.
How did they get to 1 billion?
I'm curious as well.
I'm sure they're in band A.
They're on band A. They're on band A.
They're on band A people.
They said they migrated from band B to band A.
Who migrated them?
That's a big question.
Did you right
they apply for
migrate also?
Let's move.
So you migrated them and made them incur 1 billion, and now you disconnected them. So the students are in that school now without electricity, and we are starting to produce graduates that will be employable. They play. Continue.
They've been disconnected. They were disconnected on Tuesday. So there's no lights at the moment at the end of Lagos. That story is on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. That's all we're taking this morning for trends in the papers. We'll take a short break now, a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll select our 2 major focal points, and then we open up the phone line for you, our dear listener, to join the conversation. This is Mainland 98.3 FM. Please stay tuned.